How's it going, everybody?
How you
Good
doing?
evening. Welcome to Project Airwaves.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We are going to try and take off a little bit and hit the topics based off of balancing life, what you need to do on your day-to-day basis. Kind of dip back into how episode 2 was playing, what we feel is a good balance between obviously, working, paying your bills, being a responsible individual, being a family man, but at the same time, enjoying life. I don't know, playing games, going hiking, going to the gym, concerts, hanging out with friends, kickbacks, trying to have a good, healthy balance so you can enjoy yourself, but at the same time, be responsible and attempt to be the best grown up you can be. But I don't know, still have a life.
Right, and that's one of those things. So here's how it's going to roll. Consider this more of like a part 2 or a continuation of the previous episode. Unfortunately, we didn't have the most time, as much time as we would like, but this time we're definitely going to go ahead and float on this topic because there's a lot to say and we got a lot to cover. So the last time, excuse me, on our last episode, we covered work, stress, dealing with releasing stress, helping you to help yourself so you can help develop others. So this is going to be, like I said, more of an elaboration. We're going to kind of be getting more into the life side of things, not necessarily fully focusing on work like we did in the last episode, and more like juggling life, work, and play all at the same time. So one of the first points I just wanted to jump off into is balance. We all have to find our balance when it comes to work, life, and playtime, because if you work too hard, you don't have enough life to live, and you definitely won't have enough playtime. If you're trying to live too much life, hey, you're not working, so you ain't got no money to play with. And if you're playing too much, you're just a weirdo that lives in your mom's basement. So, that's just one of the things, I want to go over as far as balancing, how to find that perfect middle ground, because as we all know, there's nothing in this world is perfect, but you can always strive for perfection. So it's always going to be a balance, a juggling act, because life's changing constantly. People change, the world changes, the days change, you yourself change. Like, it's a scientific fact that every 7 years, the human body sheds all of its atoms and grows new ones. So it's one of those things where it's like, no matter what, we cannot deny change, but we can always find a way to work around change and with change. So, quickly, I just want to say, as far as life goes, you always got to make time for life. It's never easy, because no matter what, when you first get started with work, yeah, you feel like you have all the time in the world. But as you get older, it feels like work takes more time than life, because even though some of us are only working 8-hour shifts, that 8-hour shift can suck up your entire 24-hour day, especially if you're stressed out or tired or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to touch on some other points like that, but, I'm going to give Lynn some stuff to say.
I agree entirely. It's the fact that you spend so much time thinking about what your next step is, at least, for my persona, or, how I preference it out, is that all my time, I feel like I'm at work. Granted, it is 10 hours, which is, it's half the day, but you still have another 12 hours, 14 hours to do whatever you need to do with. Granted, obviously there is sleep and trying to juggle everything together, but with the time off that you have, my emptive thing is that you need to make the most out of those days you have. I work 4 days a week, 10-hour days, but I get 3 days off, and I don't have to go into work till the 4th day that night. So yeah, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm doing the responsible thing, trying to focus on getting the money, making sure, both my girls are taken care of, and that I need to provide and do good. But obviously, running at that speed, like we touched on episode 2, running at 100 all the fucking time, it wears you out. So a big thing that me and Dee have been like preaching for the longest time, especially from how Dee has taught me, is that you got to learn to let the fuck go and just enjoy life while you do have it. Those 4 days that I have, I'm so focused in my mind of wanting to just grind and, make extra out of it, or play catch up, if you will, because I'm putting in so much time at work.
Right.
But I will take parts of those days, big portions, whether it be at 11 o'clock at night when the girls are asleep, or super early in the morning before I have to go run all my errands, like go to the gym, go grocery shopping, pick up my daughter from school, just go do everything I need to do. I will play games. I will play video games because that is good stress relief.
Always.
If I am able to hit up the guys, we will go to the gym. We'll go hiking. If we really get spontaneous about it, in order to better myself preemptively, because I do like to plan ahead, I will plan concerts out. I will plan, kickbacks out where we can just, bonfire and eat and chill, even just to go meet up and grab a bite somewhere. It gives me something to look forward to. People are so accustomed to grinding Monday through Friday that once the weekend comes, they're like, all right, here are my plans. Here's what I need to do. But doing this, being miserable Monday through Friday, working and not doing anything after that, and then only living just for Saturday and Sunday, fuck the weekends. Weekends are an excuse for you to have to fight 5 days out of the week just to enjoy 2 days. Yeah. I don't believe that for one fucking instance. On days that I still have to work, I am still making sure that I'm either finding something to be productive about, whether it be go to the gym or do this podcast. I will make an effort to do the minimal amount, but still something on my work days, so then when I do have my off days, I can enjoy it to the fullest.
Right, and that's one of the things. Now, don't get it twisted. Me and Lyn are old school. I was raised very old school. You work above all else. You do nothing else. You work. You make a living. You get that paper. You bring home food. You provide a living space, and you put clothes on backs. So it's one of those things where when I first started working, it was never a mindset of, oh, okay, well, what if I end up without a job? Like, no, never. If I got a job, and especially if I don't like that job or I see the end of the line coming with that job, I already know the skills and abilities that I have to line up the next big thing and to get myself prepared to move into the next job. However, as I got older, because I started working when I was 18. I'm 31 now. So I haven't been in the workforce for nearly as long as some of you, but longer than others. What I've just come to learn is that, we spend a lot of time, like Lyn said, trying to put as much into work as we can those 5 days out of the week. And then the 2 days we get, we either do something stupid, we do something outlandish, or we just do nothing at all just to prepare for the next 5 days that we're going to have to endure.
Yes.
It's almost like a 2-day bender. It's like going to a party for 2 days just so you can prepare to go to like the utmost amount of stress ever for the next 5 days. And so I'm a strong advocate of live life above all else. Work is important. And the day and age we live in, if you don't have a job, if you're not paying taxes, people do look down upon you. But it's one of those things where you don't have to make money like Drake. Okay, we don't have to make money like Jay-Z. Not all of us have the ability or even the upbringing to make 6-7 figures a year. Okay. But what you can do is with the life you do have, with the job you do got, find a way to live, find a way to be happy and to enjoy yourself, because no matter what, at the end of the day, once you die, you can't take any of this with you. Everything you've done up until this point doesn't matter. None of it matters, because once you're dead, unless people have written biographies about you and recorded your whole life, none of it matters, because guess what? You're not here anymore. So it's up to the next generation. So it's up to you to make the most of your life while you're living it, as opposed to letting your job dictate when you can and cannot live.
No, you're absolutely right. It's words of encouragement. You need to try and lighten up the topic without grinding in and hitting you guys hard with what you need to do. My advice, Lyn speaking here, is take a breath in and just think of what your next step is going to be so you can enjoy what you need to do. Obviously, like Dee was touching, it's always been about work, and work's always been a primary subject for a lot of people, but you spend so much time working, you're letting life pass you by. Mm-hmm. You're focusing so hard on what needs to happen at work, whether or not you might not even be at work. Right. My fiance is notorious for this. She'll take her phone calls at home even though she'd already been at work for like 8 to 10 hours. People will be blowing her up left and right because she's one of the hardest workers that I know. She's always willing to grind, but things will pass you by. You're not going to be able to notice the little things, that could, be a big part of excitement. Like, her daughter saying her first words, or, learning a new technique, like how to cook something or how to pay a bill, or, how to read. Like, you have to open your eyes, think more panoramic rather than blinders, like, like horse blinders. get that panoramic sight to where it's like you need to be able to see everything crystal clear around you so you can actually enjoy the time frame of when things are happening, opposed to just straight blinders. Like it has to be work. I'm at home thinking about work. I'm at work thinking about work. But people in society now, they have this crazy mindset where they're at home thinking about work, and then when they're at work, they want to go home.
Right. Backwards.
It's completely ass backwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's that fuck Monday kind of feeling, like fuck, it's Monday. Fuck, I have to go to work because I'm thinking about what's happening at work. You're not even at work yet. What the fuck are you stressing about?
Right.
You're not at work yet. You're already stressing on the car ride there.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you get to work, I want to go home.
Right.
I don't want to be at work anymore.
Right.
But you need to kind of figure out a good balance. Stop focusing so much for the weekends and start to enjoy your Mondays. Make it to where, fuck, if I have to go to work, you know what? Let me get through this day at work, those couple hours that I have to give to them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then when I get off, this is what I'm going to do for me. I'm going to play my game. I'm going to go to the gym with my friends. You know, there might be a concert that night. Yeah, you may have to balance out when it comes to sleep and certain other things, but as long as you're still doing your responsible thing of showing up, doing your job, the minute you get out of that job, check your fucking brain out and go do something that you enjoy that's for you. Right.
And it's funny because it goes back to, I don't know if a lot of you watch anime, but me and Lynn definitely doing this. Something that one of my animes we used to watch called, or one of the animes we used to watch called Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, man.
And one of the, like, just
old
the
school,
staple
home with that.
Right. One of the foundations of the show is equivalent exchange. And that has stuck with me for, like, ever, because life is about, like we've been talking about, balance. So there's equivalent exchange. Where you give, you have to get out. Where you get out, you also have to put in. You can only take out as much as you put in. So it's one of those things where with life, if you don't put in enough time and effort living, then you're going to feel like you've wasted your life. And, you know, if anything, pay attention to just how this year, 2019, has been. If you look back over the past decade, okay, we've lost very wealthy, very famous people due to depression, due to drug overdose, suicide,
Big
everything.
We're going to be hitting today.
Right. Stuff that most people we deal with, but we expect them who are of the upper echelon to not have to deal with. But they deal with it just as much because they're not finding that balance between work, life, and sprinkling in some playtime. It was funny. I went to cash my check, and one of the young ladies said, you know, the older I get, it feels like time moves faster. And I said, you know what? It's not that time moves faster. I said, it's that you put those blinders on. So you go from when you first start working, you're like, okay, you know, I can't wait to get off. I'm going to hang out with my friends this weekend, yada, yada, yada. As we grow older, it becomes, okay, I'm so tired from work. I'm going to go home and go to sleep.
Every day.
All you can do is wait to get paid so you can pay bills, see how much money you have left over, if any, and then see how much fun you can try to have within your spending limit. Of course, nobody's perfect, so we always have to, you know, yet again, find another balance. It's equivalent exchange. You can only get out as much as you can put in. So with me, it's not so much about living from paycheck to paycheck. It's paying attention to the life going on around you as it's happening right now, because you'll never get today back. You will never, ever see today ever again. It doesn't matter if the sun rises tomorrow the exact same time and sets the exact same time. This day will never come again. That's why life is so important and precious. Now, I'm going to segue into the play part because this is my favorite spot because I loves to play. You can ask anybody. I'm a big kid. You know, anytime Lynn says, hey, bro, you want to go hiking? You want to go to the gym? Hell, if the boy asks me to eat, I'm excited because it means I get to be active. I get to do something. I get to play.
Changing it up a bit.
Right. It's the other side of work life. It's play. So now that I've handled my 8 hours, my 40 hours a week, now that I've paid all my bills, now that I've made sure my house is stable, my bills are paid, I got clothes on my back, I got food in the shelf, now it's time to cut loose. And for me, sorry, some people may not agree, but like Lynn, I like video games, I like physical activity, and yes, I smoke a little bit of THC. And sometimes I drink, but I'm not a drinker. I honestly, you can ask Lynn, I am not a drinker. I'll get like maybe 4, 5, 6 shots deep, and I am good.
So why do you? So we're gonna kind of go on a back and forth.
Let's
here.
do it.
D, why? What is the purpose? Why do you drink? You know, why do you smoke? What does that help you with?
For me, so I mean, the whole the whole lead up to me even doing drugs and alcohol was, you see it on TV growing up. You see, the cool kids smoke cigarettes. They're people always go to a bar and they meet the guy will always go to a bar and meet a hot girl, or the girl will always go to the club and meet a hot dude. So they're always drinking and mingling and whatever.
Social gatherings, yeah.
Right, social gatherings, and of course, growing up where I grew up, it was kind of it was ghetto. So you have a lot of interactions with drugs and alcohol early on. Walking down the street, seeing a 40 ounce on the side of the road, or a can of malt liquor or whatever. Everywhere, you know what I mean? So for me, I've never been able to really drink alcohol, and I think that's hereditary. I get it from my mother. She's not a big drinker of alcohol. No, she does not do drugs. But I just, when I drink, it doesn't taste good. It doesn't feel good. Everybody likes a good buzz. But for me, when I started smoking, I was about 18. And I love smoking weed, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to turn into a drug addict. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be that guy on the sidewalk begging for change just so I can get my next hit.
No, it's good. It's the fact that you're going off of life experiences that it gave you a form of a coping mechanism, because like you were stating, going to the clubs and going out to meet people and everything, those social gatherings, people like to socially interact. You've got social smokers, social drinkers.
Yes.
And it's crazy is that me and D, we have so many similarities, but our separations when it comes to it is I do not smoke THC, but I can drink. And it's how my mother is. My mother and my grandfather, they're drinkers. I can hold my liquor relatively well. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to going to social gatherings, I can kick one back just as good as the next person, but most of the time, a lot of times when it comes to actually drinking, looking forward to that whole weekend vibe and like being excited for these kickbacks, it's not so much that I'm doing the drinking because I enjoy it. I'm doing it because I'm around friends and family and it helps me relax.
Yeah.
It's that feeling like, we could sit here and just kind of talk, I guess, but let's crack a beer.
Right.
Or, the friend wants to smoke. It's like, what, this is going to kind of let the mood relax. We use these just drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism. Not saying the hardcore drugs are hardcore alcohol.
No.
Even for me, like I do use CBD relatively frequently, the non-THC version of that, because I get inflammation from I put my body through shit. Like I train
all day,
every single day, 5 days a week, and including at my job, the 4 days that I'm there, I'm wearing gear, tactical duty belts and everything like that, having to carry everything. And consistently walking and standing on my feet, forms of CBD, whether it be just smoking it or the drops, the tinctures, it does have a good psychological effect when it comes to help relieve anxiety and stress. And it does help me as a coping mechanism to get through my life, to find that balance that I need to help relieve stress, to enjoy things. A topic how D was pretty much saying is that, right when you get that fucking paycheck, you're just having to all right, what's my next thing? What bill do I have to pay? How much money I'm going to have? And trying to enjoy things, but spending money that you don't have. Mm-hmm. These little coping mechanisms of, all right, I have enough money to sway a drink.
Right.
Drinking by yourself sucks. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. Some people can, but that's just a form of low depression. But drinking around company, it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
You're spending $1 or $2 on a beer, but you're really gaining enrichment from the conversation.
Right, like people around you.
People around you. Going to go get food. Fuck, I don't have a whole lot of money for food. Yeah, I want to go eat somewhere nice and fancy at the Cheesecake Factory, but D is like, hey, let's go to Carl's Jr. Dude, I'm so excited just to go to Carl's Jr., just to talk. I don't even give a fuck about what I'm eating. I'm just like, you know what? It's the social interaction. People become so dependent on alcohol and drugs, and it's like you don't need them. They do help. When it comes to what the situation is, but social interaction with people and good friends and good company is the biggest and best drug that you will have to get you through almost everything in life.
Yeah. And for me, and I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to. Like, of course, I smoke. I mainly started smoking weed because I have anxiety, social anxiety, if you can believe it. I'm not a social person. I'm really not. I don't like being around large groups of people. So as you can imagine, with my line of work that I'm currently in, which is a call center environment, and even my previous line of work, which was security, you're surrounded by people all the damn time. So for me, it was, I would smoke a little bit before work, just to kind of get me through the day, kind of bring my anxiety down. Because let's be honest, folks, these things are only, and I say this very loosely, remedies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing's a permanent fix. You know what I mean? The only thing to fix life is you, and having the self-restraint to deal with it. But I did it because it helped me get through the day. It made things a little easier for me to tolerate. Yes, it makes you a little loopy, and yeah, everything's a little funny, but it's one of those things where you don't wild out when you're high. If you're not smoking just copious amounts of weed, if you just take a hit or two here and there, you're not going to be like this stuff you see on TV. That's ridiculous, and it's quite frankly dramatized.
Traumatized.
Dramatized?
Traumatized.
They make it look worse than it is. That's all I'm going to say, okay? They make it look a whole lot worse than it's not, because, no matter what, and I tell people all the time, especially while I don't necessarily, I'm not going to say everybody needs to smoke weed, because not everything's for everybody. But also, if you're going to do it in moderation. It's just like drinking alcohol. Even when I drink, me and Lyn, just like we discussed, me and him will go out to drink. I love drinking with Lyn because it's a blast. He's my mix master. I have no idea what alcohol does what. Hey man, that's a pretty color. Can you make it taste nice? And so Lyn could drink freaking, Bruce Lee under the table. The guy can handle it. It's just one of those things where I don't like to drink unless we're hanging out, because right. I know I'm in good company. Like he said, I'm already having a good time because I'm with a good friend. I can let my guard down. And a lot of times, a lot of us have an issue with letting our guards down. We don't have that. We never get in that situation where we just be like, fuck it. You know what I mean? You can just be uncensored, unfiltered, and not worry about all that extra judgment. But it's one of those things where initially weed was, for me, medical, for my anxiety. And then it just became recreational, of course, because I have fun and it's not hurting me. I did my research, as you should all do when doing anything in life. Do your research. Know what you're getting into.
I'm a big factor of that, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where it took off, but now it's more for me to educate people. Like, hey, you don't need to smoke to have fun. You don't need to drink to have fun. But if you want it as an enhancement, if you're already in good company, you want to take things to the next level of fun, mind you, stay fun, then yeah, maybe sprinkle a little bit of, 420 in there, but that's the fun side.
You're doing a form of a supplementation, which I feel is a big thing, because a lot of people, including myself, when it comes to supplementing, is I do, I will take vitamins and everything like that, especially with how frequent I train. I notice that supplementation, whether it be pre-workout or multivitamins, it does give me that extra edge to be able to get going through, because how me and D run, we don't run average Joe lives.
No.
To give a little background story about us, and to kind of we will be lightening things up. We want you guys to know how we are and who we are.
Right.
We hit hard topics because we want people to kind of relate.
Yes.
We want to relate with what you guys think. If
right.
you guys have feedback and advice, we want this podcast to grow.
Right.
So for us, I work my graveyard job from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Ooh. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. I am a family man. I'm trying to be the best person I can be for the both of them, so that I train not for looks, but I train for strength. I mentally and physically, like we touched on episode 1, I focus on fitness and nutrition to get my body good. So I know that if they need me, my family or my friends, I'm ready to go. Right. Even if I am dead tired and I do not want to I would just want to sleep all day. If someone tells me, hey, shit's hit the fan and they just woke me up, I'm ready to go. I will run out that goddamn door butt ass naked and go fight whatever I gotta fight, whether it be a human or a fucking tiger. I don't play when it comes to my family and my friends.
Of
so
course.
I beat myself down.
Yes.
A lot harder than most, so that I can provide for everybody.
Right.
And in exchange, it wears me out. It wears me out to where I'm mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. I do get anxiety. I do get stressed. I do get depressed. Supplementation, whether it be, vitamins and pre-workout or CBD or alcohol, it does help me supplement my life to create a form of balance. But it is not necessary. Like what Dee was saying, is that it's not necessary or mandatory to have all that shit, because you're use these things or these things or these supplementations as a tool
Right.
to get yourself somewhere. My biggest thing, and a big part of why I brought D in with this podcast, is that you want change to happen.
Yes.
People are fucking terrified of change. They do not like to put themselves under pressure.
Yes.
But I thrive on change.
Yeah.
Someone told me a long time ago is that you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Put yourself in an uncomfortable situation so that you can grow from it. Because if you live in the stagnant life hole where you're just doing the same shit, the 9 to 5, with nothing happening, you're gonna be in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. Still doing what you were doing in your fucking 20s.
Wasting time.
With nothing to show for it. So this is like how D is, I've always been, I've learned to become a good speaker, and I've been more comfortable with verbal judo, the shit that we do in security, working retail before, learning how to kind of read a person and learn how to talk with them.
Right.
I had to branch out of that because I don't like feeling dumb if I'm talking.
Right.
I want to know what I'm talking about. That's the reason why, like what D was touching, is I do my research. If I'm going to talk to you about something, it's because I fucking studied it. I'm not just blabbermouthing saying, yeah, I know how to build a fucking rocket because I saw a rocket on TV once. I don't know shit about that stuff. But when it comes to supplementation, when it comes to stressful situations, when it comes to having to tackle things that I'm terrified of, like this podcast, I will go as hard as I can, regardless of what the repercussion is, because I know that I put in 110%, and then I live it off of not necessarily that YOLO factor, but
kind of.
Fuck it. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah. It doesn't fucking fly, and we don't get to where we need to go. At least I know it didn't kill me. It didn't hurt anybody near me, but I did do something that I wasn't doing. I'm doing something now at age 30 that I would have never thought I was going to do when I was fucking 20.
No. And that's one of those things. You always have to be ready to achieve things. Be ready to go to the next level, because it's funny when we're kids and we're watching cartoons and stuff, our minds are filled with all these wonderful figments of the imagination, and our minds know no bounds as far as what it will allow us to do in the confines of that space, which for some of us is endless. But it's one of those things where you have to nurture that. As a lot of us know, as we get older, the world tends to make us colder, and we start to lose that happy feeling. It's kind of like, okay, a lot of you probably won't get this, but it's kind of like I think it was Dexter's Lab, and I think it was the sister Dee Dee. She had to get over her imaginary friend, and because she was growing up or something, we've all seen that motif in various cartoons and shows where, for some reason, because you're no longer a certain age, for some reason you're just not allowed to have imaginary friends. You're not allowed to have fun, and apparently being an adult just makes you this like gargoyle stone-like creature where you just you hate everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Become a robot.
But for me, growing up with cartoons and stuff like that, for me, it's about leveling up, because the coolest thing in a cartoon, especially fighting cartoons like Dragon Ball Z and, Bleach and all types of Naruto, stuff like that, we live for the fight. You know why the fight is so intoxicating and exhilarating? It's because at the end of that fight, we already know who's going to win, but we know that's going to make them stronger. We know that's going to unlock a new ability. We know that's going to further the story and give us change from what we've been seeing. We have to treat life as an anime, as our story, as our movie, as our book. You have to continuously work and fight to write a new chapter. Don't be afraid to achieve new things. Don't be afraid to set higher and higher goals, raising your standards of living. Because if you don't, you will be comfortable living in squalor and working for nothing. The biggest thing I will tell anybody is, if you're going to work, know how much you're worth and make sure they pay you what you're worth, because that will give you the money, the time, and the freedom to live the life that you want to live. And if it doesn't, then find a way around it. Multiple streams of revenue. You don't always have to have this one job that eats up your whole entire day. Now, one thing you guys will learn about me, and I'm so sorry, I can be a little all over the place, and that's just me. That my mind, it bounces from one thing to another. So, if this all doesn't make sense right away, it's okay. Play it back, listen to it again. Something I said will resonate in you, with you, later on down the road, even if it's not hitting you right now. So that's my whole light at the end of the tunnel, as far as, trying to find that balance with work, life, and play. Always be looking to achieve a new goal. So even if that's with work, if you're trying to get promoted, work for it. If you're trying to have more fun in life, work for it. If you're trying to find more playtime, Work for it. Equivalent exchange. You only get out what you put in.
Newton's law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Hey, now.
It's such a big factor in all of our lives, is that you can have fun. You can have fun. You can do some crazy dumb shit and enjoy yourself to the fullest, but expect that law of equivalent exchange, that flop to happen, to where if you're not working to prepare yourself for what is going to happen when you have that fun, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. You're going to end up, me and D were joking about this, I just paid rent a couple days ago or yesterday, and I was explaining to my daughter how, the currency works and how we get the money order and go pay the apartment. Mm-hmm. And we all have that mindset. As you see all that money laying out and you're like, fuck, I could go, I could, $1,200, I could go do a whole bunch with this. Mm-hmm. But can you really? Can you really take off and go do something with $1,200? $1,200 seems like a lot right then and there, but when you go to spend it,
Jack, ain't nothing.
And then now you have no place to stay. Right. You end up having to get the money right back up to go try and stay at that apartment. So if you're gonna, that's a big step to do something that you want to do big with, but there's an outcome with it. So prepare yourself. Put money aside to where it's like, fuck, if I want to go do this, let me hustle a little bit right now. Let me grind right now.
Cushion.
So I can make cushion to do something fun down the road.
Right.
Don't break yourself in and work that fucking 9 to 5, put the money together, and then just pay your bills and then go back to work, because then you're just gonna you're gonna regret it. You're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out. Your life is running it's running at such a pace, regardless if you think it's going fast or slow. Right. Shit will fucking fly by. I would have never thought hitting 30 was gonna be an actual thing. I don't remember what the last 10 years was. There's nothing holding me from age 20 to age 30 that has stuck with me in my head, other than training at the gym and growing, and maybe getting better at one job that isn't a career. Right. So, I guess we'll talk a little freely. How do you want to do this? Do you want to cut from here? Do you want to?
No. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go a little off the script.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna speak a little open, a little freely. With, at least for me, this podcast is a big deal. This is my new step.
Absolutely. I'm right there. I'm driven. I'm exhausted like a motherfucker with life, but to speak freely with how me and DR, we want this podcast to grow. We want to thrive. We are gonna run to the public like what we're saying. We're hitting 10 episodes. We're gonna try and make this Project Airwaves something big. You will see something down the road. If we are able to take off of this, we might have a little spin-off to where D's going to have moments where he's going to talk, and I'm going to have moments where I'm going to talk separately. Yeah. And we're going to piece them together so you guys can get a little bit of both worlds and see how equal we are, but how our lives are different. Right. We will cycle back and forth between this Project Airwaves, but we need growth. Yes.
And, as always, support is everything. We're not in this to be, a millionaire or anything like that. We're in this because we've lived a lot of life. I know, 30 years isn't long, but for us feels like it's been 2 or 3 lifetimes.
Been doing a lot of
stuff
shit.
We've gone through.
A lot of shit.
So for this, it's, what? If I'm living life and I'm full of these experiences, who am I to hold that into myself and not share that with anybody? For me, I've always loved teaching and helping people become better than who they were.
Which is crazy. I'm exactly the same. Like with any of my jobs, I've always been the training and development person. I've always been that person where I like to teach people what I've gone through, because I put myself purposely in really heavy, shitty situations, whether it be life and death with my job in security and working around all of that crazy shit, and just the basic stuff, just cooking, cleaning, proper hygiene, going to the gym. I like to be able to teach people different routes that if they plateau and they hit that point in life where like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Right. But I'm too afraid to take that step. This podcast is going to be like, well, we've done it.
Right. Take a chapter from our book.
Take a chapter from our book. We've already done a lot of this stuff. We might hit the younger viewers. There might be people that are older where they were in their 60s and they didn't go to the gym, or they've never gambled, they've never drinking, they've never experienced hands-on situations. I've done CPR on people that have been unconscious. I've put people in restraints. I've been shot at. I've been in so many different situations with my job and with my life, to where hopefully with what I learned,
Right.
On the hardcore side, and with Darius knows, or with D knows from
okay.
the with what a topic we'll talk on with religion and hope and faith.
Yes.
This guy in front of me, he holds a very strong foundation with being able to believe in a higher power that can actually get you through your day to day, which some people like might be skeptics and they might not understand it, but having something small to hold on to can get you miles ahead, opposed to just expecting to be able to handle everything on your own.
Yes. And I mean, I'm not going to go into this tonight, but I almost drowned, okay? And Lynn was staring me dead in the eye.
I forgot about that.
This will be a story for another day. I promise I will tell you guys.
At Nelson's Landing. Yeah, that's another thing.
Man, okay, we've been through some stuff, but it's one of those things, like we said, we just want to share. We want to share what we have. So even if it's not, I don't have any biological children. I'm in a situation kind of similar to Lynn. I have my girl. We have our child. Even though he's not mine, I still want to share things with him. I still want to impart these things into him. So that way, if he happens to go through the same bullshit I went through, he'll be like, hey, I remember me and Pops talked about this. Let me figure my way out of this. I don't want it to be a situation where, it's something I could have shared, but I didn't for one reason or another. I want it to be out there in some form or fashion. So, I mean, honestly, folks, we had a blast tonight. I know this ran a little long, but like we said, we wanted to make sure we covered the whole spectrum of this topic because we didn't have as much time as we wanted to in the last episode. So we just kind of wanted to kick that out. So this is D signing off.
And this is Lynn of Project Airwaves. And with the quote we were going to be running with, we want you to keep your head in the cloud.
And your feet on the motherfucking ground.
All right, everybody, have a great night.
Take it easy. God bless.